Welcome to a journey through the rugged annals of automotive history, where steel met soil and legends were forged in the mud. When we talk about off-road dominance, one name stands above all others, echoing through mountain passes and desert dunes for over 8 decades. Jeep. But today, we aren't just looking at standard production models or your everyday commuters. We are diving deep into the archives to unearth the absolute beasts of the past. We are talking about the machines that defined the term unstoppable. The history of Jeep is a chronicle of survival, innovation, and raw power. From the desperate battlefields of the 1940s to the suburban driveways of the 90s, these vehicles evolved from essential tools of war into cultural icons of freedom. However, some specific models pushed the boundaries further than anyone thought possible. These are the monsters, the Jeeps that featured oversized engines, revolutionary suspension systems for their time, and body designs that looked like they could drive over a house and come out without a scratch. In this video, we have meticulously curated a list of 20 monstrous Jeeps made in the past. We will explore the heavy-duty military workhorses that refused to quit, the experimental pickups that paved the way for modern trucks, and the classic SUVs that combined luxury with a terrifying amount of torque. You will see how the transition from flathead engines to roaring V8s transformed these utilitarian boxes into high-performance predators of the wilderness. We are going back to an era where electronic assists didn't exist, and the connection between the driver, the machine, and the terrain was pure and mechanical. These Jeeps represent a time when overbuilt was the standard and impossible was just a challenge waiting to be conquered. Whether they were climbing the Rubicon Trail for the first time or hauling massive loads across unfinished industrial landscapes, these 20 icons cemented a legacy of toughness that still intimidates modern 4X4S today. So, buckle up and prepare your senses. From the iconic silhouettes of the XJ series to the massive presence of the vintage Gladiators and Wagoneers, we are about to count down the most formidable, powerful, and truly monstrous Jeeps ever to grace the earth. This is a tribute to the heavy metal heroes of the off-road world. Let's begin our countdown of the 20 monstrous Jeeps made in the past that every enthusiast needs to remember. The Willis MB, the World War II original. We begin with the ultimate patriarch of the off-road world. The Willis MB wasn't just a vehicle. It was a specialized tool of liberation. Emerging in the early 1940s, this machine was a marvel of minimalist engineering. Imagine a time when most cars were heavy, lumbering boats of steel. Then comes the MB Lightweight, featuring a revolutionary 4-wheel drive system and a high-clearance design that allowed it to traverse terrain that would swallow any other vehicle whole. It was monstrous not because of its physical size, but because of its indomitable spirit. It could be crated, dropped from airplanes, and repaired with nothing but a basic toolkit. Its Go Devil engine provided the torque necessary to pull artillery, carry wounded soldiers, and cross flooded plains. The Willis MB set the DNA for every monstrous Jeep that followed, proving that a rugged chassis and a relentless drivetrain could conquer the world. The Jeep CJ 5V6, the short wheelbase powerhouse moving into the civilian era. The CJ5 became a legend for its longevity, but the monster variants were the ones equipped with the dauntless V6 engine. Introduced in the mid-1960s, this engine nearly doubled the horsepower of the previous 4-cylinder models. This turned the CJ5 into a terrifyingly fast and capable mountain goat. Because the CJ5 had such a short wheelbase, the addition of massive V6 power meant it could scramble up nearly vertical rock faces and blast through deep sand with an aggressiveness that intimidated its rivals. It was a raw, visceral experience. No doors, no roof, just a roaring engine and a driver holding on for dear life. It earned a reputation for being a handful to drive, but in the hands of a skilled off-roader, it was an apex predator of the trails. The Jeep Forward Control FC150, the heavy-duty oddity in the late 1950s, Jeep decided to flip the script on traditional truck design. The Forward Control FC150 placed the driver directly over the front axle, creating a silhouette that looked like a miniature freight locomotive. This was a monstrous design choice that prioritized utility above all else. By moving the cab forward, Jeep was able to fit a massive cargo bed onto a relatively short and maneuverable chassis. This vehicle was built for the rugged worker, farmers, foresters, and firemen who needed to haul heavy loads into the deep woods where a standard truck would get stuck. Its bizarre proportions and heavy-duty 4x4 capability make it one of the most visually striking and mechanically formidable Jeeps ever to leave the factory. It remains a symbol of an era when Jeep wasn't afraid to be weird to be powerful. The Jeep Gladiator J Series, the original full-size beast long before the modern Gladiator arrived. The J Series was the reigning king of the pickup world. Launched in the early 60s, the Gladiator J Series was a massive, intimidating truck that shared its Rhino grille styling with the Wagoneer. It featured heavy-duty solid axles, optional dual rear wheels in some configurations, and engines that were built to pull stumps out of the ground. This wasn't a lifestyle truck. It was a brutal industrial machine. With its flared fenders and wide stance, it looked monstrous on the road, towering over the sedans of the era. It was the first Jeep to offer a modern independent front suspension option on 4WD, but it was the solid axle versions that became legendary for their ability to survive decades of abuse in the harshest environments on Earth. The Jeep Jeepster Commando, the sporty trailblazer, the Commando was Jeep's answer to the growing demand for a vehicle that could handle the commute during the week and the wilderness on the weekend. However, don't let the sporty name fool you. When equipped with heavy-duty off-road packages, the Commando was a monster in disguise. It featured a longer wheelbase than the CJ series, which provided better stability when flying across desert floors or navigating steep inclines. It combined the ruggedness of a military-grade drivetrain with a body style that felt like a precursor to the modern SUV. It was bold, it was stylish, and it possessed a go-anywhere attitude that helped bridge the gap between pure utility and the adventure-seeking culture that defines the Jeep brand today. The Jeep Grand Wagoneer SJ, the gold standard of brute luxury long before the term SUV, was a marketing buzzword. The Grand Wagoneer was ruling the road with an iron fist wrapped in a velvet glove. Produced on the same basic SJ platform for nearly 3 decades, this machine was a mechanical anomaly. It was a massive, full-size body-on-frame beast that featured a sophisticated 4WD system capable of conquering deep snow and mud, all while the occupants sat in plush leather seats surrounded by wood-grain paneling. What made it monstrous was its uncompromising footprint and its thirsty, powerful V8 engines. It was a vehicle that commanded respect through sheer presence. With its heavy solid axles and a towing capacity that rivaled dedicated work trucks, the Grand Wagoneer proved that you didn't have to sacrifice power for comfort. It remains an icon of American automotive excess and durability. The Jeep CJ7 Golden Eagle, the 70s off-road icon. If the 1970s had a definitive off-road predator, the Golden Eagle was it. While the CJ7 brought a slightly longer wheelbase and a more stable chassis than the CJ5, the Golden Eagle edition added a layer of visual and mechanical intimidation. Often equipped with wide tires, flared arches, and the legendary T18 manual transmission, this Jeep was designed to be a mountain goat with an attitude. The massive eagle decal on the hood was a warning to others that this wasn't a standard cruiser. Underneath, it featured the rugged quadra-track system, one of the first successful full-time 4WD systems. Its ability to maintain traction on the most uneven surfaces made it a monster on the trails, allowing drivers to push deep into the wilderness where few other vehicles dared to follow. The Jeep M715, the 5/4-ton military monster, this is perhaps the most monstrous-looking vehicle on this entire list. Based on the civilian Gladiator, the M715 was a dedicated military brush truck designed for the rigors of combat and extreme utility. It featured a front end that looked like it was designed to eat smaller cars for breakfast. With its massive 38-inch tires, a fold-down windshield, and a heavy-duty canvas top, it was the definition of form following function. The M715 earned the nickname 5/4-ton due to its incredible payload capacity. It used heavy-duty Dana 60 and Dana 70 axles that are still coveted by off-roaders today for monster truck builds. It was slow, loud, and incredibly uncomfortable, but it was virtually unstoppable in the mud, making it a true legend of military engineering. The Jeep Cherokee XJ, the unibody revolution at first glance. The Cherokee XJ might look smaller than the others, but its impact on the world was monstrous. When it debuted in 1984, it defied traditional wisdom by using a unibody construction instead of a heavy frame. This made it lighter and faster, but Jeep's engineers ensured it was incredibly rigid. When paired with the legendary 4.0-liter inline-six engine, a motor known for its bulletproof reliability and massive low-end torque, the XJ became a giant killer. It could outclimb much larger trucks while maintaining enough agility to navigate tight forest trails. Its simple, boxy design has become a cult classic, and its ability to be modified into a rock-crawling monster with just a few suspension tweaks is why it remains a staple of the off-road community today. The Jeep CJ8 Scrambler, the long-wheelbase workhorse. The Scrambler is a rare beast that combined the open-air fun of a CJ with the utility of a small pickup truck. By stretching the wheelbase of the CJ7, Jeep created a vehicle that was significantly more stable on steep inclines and had enough room to haul serious gear. It was the favorite of anyone who needed to transport supplies to remote locations. Because of its rarity and its unique half-cab look, it has become one of the most sought-after vintage Jeeps. Its mechanical simplicity meant it could be beaten on all day in the desert heat and still drive home at night. The Scrambler wasn't just a vehicle. It was a versatile tool that proved the Jeep platform could be adapted to do almost anything, no matter how monstrous the task. The Jeep Wrangler YJ, the square-eyed rebel. When the Wrangler YJ debuted in the late 1980s, it had a massive weight on its shoulders, replacing the beloved CJ series. While purists initially mocked its rectangular headlights, the YJ quickly proved to be a mechanical monster in its own right. It featured a wider track and a lower center of gravity, which made it significantly more stable during high-angle climbs. But the real monstrous quality came from its simplified, heavy-duty leaf spring suspension and the introduction of galvanized steel for the body and frame, making it far more resistant to the rust that claimed so many of its predecessors. It was the bridge between the raw, military-inspired past and the modern era of off-roading. When modified with larger tires and a lift kit, the YJ's rigid frame turned it into a rock-crawling beast that dominated the trails of the 90s. The Jeep Wrangler TJ, the coil spring king. If the YJ brought stability, the TJ brought a revolution in articulation. Released in 1997, the TJ swapped out ancient leaf springs for a sophisticated quadricoil suspension system. This allowed the wheels to move independently with incredible vertical travel, meaning this Jeep could keep its tires on the ground while traversing boulders that would leave other 4x4s stranded with wheels spinning in the air. This mechanical flexibility made it a monster on technical trails like the Rubicon. It also marked the return of the classic round headlights, but beneath that retro skin was a modern beast. The TJ Rubicon Edition, specifically, came from the factory with air-locking differentials and heavy-duty axles, making it perhaps the most capable out-of-the-box monster Jeep ever produced up to that point. The Jeep Dispatcher DJ5, the industrial survivor. You might recognize this as the postal Jeep, but don't let the mail delivery routes fool you. The DJ5 was a master of endurance. While most were two-wheel drive, their construction was purely industrial. They were built to endure thousands of stop-and-go cycles every single day in every possible weather condition, from Alaskan blizzards to Arizona heat waves. What makes the DJ5 monstrous is its sheer simplicity and never-say-die attitude. It utilized a heavy-duty rear axle and a steering geometry that allowed it to make incredibly tight turns in urban labyrinths. Many of these retired workhorses were later converted by enthusiasts into off-road, stubby monsters, proving that the bones of a Jeep, regardless of its original intent, are always built for battle. The Jeep Honcho, the muscle truck of the 70s. The Honcho was an options package for the J10 pickup that screamed 1970s power. It wasn't just about the bold decals and the roll bar. The Honcho was a full-size monster equipped with heavy-duty suspension and often powered by the massive 401 cubic inch V8, the largest engine Jeep ever offered in a pickup. This truck was designed for the macho era of off-roading, where displacement was king and ground clearance was a right, not a privilege. With its wide track axles and flared fenders, the Honcho looked like it could drive straight through a mountain. It remains one of the most aggressive-looking trucks in history, a true heavyweight champion that combined the utility of a work truck with the soul of a muscle car. The Jeep Super Wagoneer, the high-performance patriarch long before Trackhawk or SRT, were even ideas. There was the Super Wagoneer. Produced for only a few years in the late 60s, this was a limited production monster designed for the elite who wanted to go fast over any terrain. It featured a high-compression V8 engine that produced staggering amounts of power for the era. But it wasn't just fast. It was heavy-duty. It came standard with a specialized transmission and a 4WD system designed to handle the extra torque. The Super Wagoneer was a sleeper monster. It looked like a refined family wagon. But under the hood, it possessed a level of mechanical aggression that could outrun many sports cars of the day while towing a boat. It set the blueprint for the high-performance SUVs that dominate the market today. The Jeep CJ3B, the high-hood workhorse, this model is instantly recognizable by its unusually tall front grille and hood line. While it might look a bit eccentric, the reason for this design was purely monstrous. It needed to house the Hurricane F-head engine. This engine provided significantly more power and torque than the older flathead designs, but it was physically taller. Instead of shrinking the engine, Jeep simply grew the vehicle around it. The CJ3B was a post-war beast built for the toughest agricultural and industrial tasks. It was exported all over the world and manufactured under license in multiple countries because it was virtually indestructible. Its high-clearance design and increased power-to-weight ratio made it a favorite for those who needed a compact monster that could plow fields by day and navigate mountain passes by night. The Jeep Comanche MJ, the unibody gladiator based on the Cherokee XJ platform. The Comanche was a pickup truck that defied traditional truck logic. By using a uniframe design, Jeep created a truck that was lighter than its competitors, but possessed a cargo bed that was incredibly rigid. The monstrous aspect of the MJ was its big metric ton package, which gave this small pickup a payload capacity that rivaled much larger, full-size trucks. When equipped with the 4.0-liter inline-six engine and a manual transmission, the Comanche became a cult legend. It was fast, agile, and could take a beating that would leave other trucks in the scrapyard. It remains one of the most sought-after vintage pickups because it combined the soul of a rock crawler with the heart of a heavy-duty hauler. The Jeep Wrangler JK Unlimited, the four-door game-changer. While the JK series is more recent than some on this list, its impact was nothing short of monstrous. This was the first time the Wrangler was offered with 4 doors from the factory, a move that many purists feared would soften the brand. Instead, the longer wheelbase of the Unlimited version created a stable platform for some of the most extreme off-road builds in history. It allowed for massive 40-inch tires and heavy-duty armor without sacrificing stability. The JK Unlimited turned the Jeep from a niche weekend toy into a massive, family-sized expedition vehicle that could cross continents. It redefined the scale of what a consumer Jeep could be, leading to an explosion of aftermarket monster Jeep builds that we see at every off-road event today. The Jeep Liberty Renegade, the rugged outlier. The Liberty was often seen as a softer successor to the Cherokee, but the Renegade trim was a different beast altogether. Designed to look like a modern-day Willis, it featured bolted-on fender flares, a massive light bar on the roof, and skid plates that covered every vital organ of the vehicle. What made the Renegade monstrous was its surprisingly robust 4WD system and its cactus jack attitude. It was an attempt by Jeep to prove that even their smaller, more modern platforms could handle the trail-rated badge. For those who took these machines into the wild, the Renegade proved to be a tough, capable, and gritty little monster that could hold its own when the pavement ended. The Jeep Grand Cherokee 5.9 Limited, the 90s street monster in 1998, Jeep decided to create a factory-built hot rod. They took the luxury-focused Grand Cherokee ZJ and stuffed a massive 5.9-liter Magnum V8 under the hood. To handle the heat and power, they added functional hood louvers and a high-flow exhaust that gave it a deep, menacing growl. For that single year, it was the fastest SUV on the planet. This wasn't just a monster on the trails. It was a monster on the drag strip. It combined the heavy-duty quadra-track 4WD system with enough raw torque to pin passengers into their leather seats. It was the ultimate expression of 90s muscle, proving that a Jeep could be refined, luxurious, and terrifyingly fast all at the same time. As we bring this journey through the decades to a close, it is clear that the word monster applies to these 20 Jeeps in more ways than one. They were monstrous in their capability, monstrous in their resilience, and often monstrous in their unapologetic, rugged design. From the humble, battle-hardened beginnings of the Willis MB on the front lines of World War II to the high-performance, V8-powered luxury of the Grand Cherokee 5.9 Limited, Jeep has spent over 80 years proving that a vehicle can be much more than a simple mode of transportation. These machines are icons of American engineering and symbols of a relentless human desire to explore the unknown. They remind us of a time when the relationship between a driver and their vehicle was purely mechanical. A symphony of gears, torque, and traction without the intervention of complex computers or electronic safety nets. To drive one of these vintage beasts is to feel every rock under the tire and every pulse of the engine through the steering wheel. They were built for a world that didn't have paved roads in every corner, and they were designed to be fixed in a driveway or a desert with nothing but a wrench and a bit of ingenuity. That overbuilt philosophy is exactly why so many of these vehicles are still on the road and on the trails today, outlasting newer, more fragile competitors. Whether it was the massive footprint of the J-Series Gladiator, the innovative unibody strength of the Comanche, or the rock-crawling articulation of the Wrangler TJ, each vehicle on this list contributed a vital chapter to the legend of the 4x4. They paved the way for the modern off-road culture we enjoy today, proving that impossible was nothing more than a suggestion. These are the heavy metal heroes that survived the test of time and the brutality of nature. They represent the grit, the grease, and the glory of a bygone era. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the archives of off-road history. We hope this countdown has sparked a newfound appreciation for the steel and soul that went into these 20 monstrous Jeeps of the past. If you enjoyed this trip through time, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community of enthusiasts. Let us know in the comments which of these legends you would want in your garage, or if there is a monstrous vintage Jeep we missed. Until the next trail, keep your wheels turning and your spirit adventurous. We will see you in the next video.